Well, good evening, and thank you, Pam, so eloquently describing why many of us are here and why many of us have been involved with Monell for many years. But first of all, it's my pleasure on behalf of the Board of Directors to welcome everybody tonight on a very special evening. Today, we're celebrating kind of the annual celebration of Monell and our achievements, and most importantly, all of those that make those achievements possible. It takes an enormous effort, as many of you know, to do what Monell does. The scientists, the support, the philanthropists, the grant writing, all of the things that are required to make Monell such a special place. And I just want to acknowledge and thank everyone that's involved. It is particularly important that we recognize many of you in this room who support Monell and through the philanthropy and the grants that enable Monell, along with many others that are not here and are around the world, to allow the science that Pam so, as I said, eloquently described to occur. And it is critical that it occurs. We live in a time where, I think for the first time that I can remember, much of what academia does, particularly in the sciences, is in question, and whether or not it adds value, at least in some people's minds. And that would be a travesty if that continued, and hopefully it won't. But it shows just how important the advances in science not only have been, but will be in the quality of life, how we live, and importantly, how we deal with the world around us and perceive it. It is challenging, but as you're going to hear from Ben, we've had a great year in Monell, and you'll hear about some of those achievements, both scientifically and for the recognition that some of our scientists have received. And it gives great pleasure to know that the work is being recognized more broadly, but we have a lot to do to increase the impact that our work has by being able to communicate more effectively about who we are, what do we do, and some of the benefits that you've heard Pam describe. Because one of the things that I've always thought is Monell is one of the best kept secrets. And in the world that we live in today, we have to change that, because it doesn't do us as much good as being top of mind for many people who would support the science if they knew more about it. And I think over the next 12 months, you're going to hear a lot more about what we're doing to change that and to increase the impact of our science. Because I was reflecting on it, as Gary knows, I first got introduced to Monell about 35 years ago when I joined Campbell Soup. By training, I'm a biochemist, and my entire career was in the food industry, both in terms of human and pet. And I was thinking, when I first became involved, naturally, there was a certain professional element about trying to understand more about what people tasted, why, the mechanism of it, from an industrial perspective. But gradually, as time went on, it asked a lot more questions around satiety, why we select certain foods, how does it lead or not lead to the predisposition to obesity, why are we drawn to certain foods, and how is it that some people find it challenging to manage intake where others don't seem to. And as that has evolved over the years, and I became much more interested and involved in emerging science in the area, and particularly the microbiome, which covers, as we all know, the storefront. The discovery of the mechanisms and the receptor systems throughout our body, and the questions it raises, and the chemical senses suddenly become one with neuroscience, and very much answering some of the critical questions about how not we just perceive the outside world, but how does the rest of our body perceives what it takes in and how it uses that to control our metabolism, and ultimately our well-being. And it's just continued to fascinate me. And it's a great honor and a pleasure for me to be associated with Monell. It's a bit off-putting to think of how many years, but and I think tonight just reminds us of how important the work that Monell does is, and how important the support that many in this room and others that are not here are in providing the support to allow this science to occur. And as I finish and turn over to Ben, where he will give you more sense of, I think, some of the great achievements, I just want to say the next 12 months, I think, is going to be even more exciting, if that's possible. Challenging, yes, but I think there's some amazing plans and opportunities that are coming our way. And at the end of the day, that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we support Monell. Thank you.